Today I am reading day 36. Ooh. And this is definitely God's timing and using this devotional to speak directly to me and just some current circumstances that have been going on. So she really is just talking about God's grace. She talks about the gifts and talents that we have and how we're using them, etc., etc. And in this scripture that she starts out with here in 1 Peter 4, 10 and 11, it talks about the gifts that we've received and using them to serve one another as good stewards of God's varied grace. And my first thought as I was reading the scripture is just, are you being a good steward of God's grace? I often think about being a good steward of what God's blessed me with materially, or physically or mentally, the talents that I have. But am I being a good steward of God's grace? The grace that He showed me, have I extended it? Am I extending it to other people? And she talks in this day about heaven-empowered abilities. And I was just thinking about, what are my heaven-empowered abilities? And of course, encouragement is really my heaven-empowered ability. And just in reading today's Devo, I was thinking about the fact that I can encourage because God first encourages me. So my ability to encourage comes from God. And that's why sometimes people have asked me in the past for the boxes of encouragement that I design and create and sell and give away, why I don't also make ones that maybe aren't Christian, based. They don't have Christian scriptures in them. And my answer has always been because that's where my encouragement comes from. And it feels like it would be inauthentic for me to make boxes of encouragement that don't reflect where the words of encouragement in them came from. Hopefully that makes sense and I'm not just rambling, but yeah. So I encourage because God first encouraged me. And then she really challenges you in this Devo, and she challenged me to think, what is holding me back from being fully what God designed me to be? I'm doing a lot of things, but there's so many other things that I could be doing with the skills and talents and grace that He's shown me. She challenges you to really think about if you're using those things for God's glory and not for your own, and maintaining a right estimation of myself. That's a quote that I read a long time ago, not in this book, but in another book by Andrew Murray called Humility. And just maintaining a right estimation of myself and who I am because of who God is and who He designed me to be. And that's been kind of a mantra for me, just maintaining a right estimation of myself. When I get down on myself, when other people say things about me that I know are not true, or when I get too puffed up and proud and prideful about something that I've done, maintaining a right estimation of who I am. It means you can be proud of yourself, but you don't take that glory from God. It's still all because of Him. When I'm tempted to think I'm in control. And then I love that she uses this verse from Romans, one of my favorite verses or books of the Bible, not one of my favorite book of the Bible, Romans. But she uses chapter 12, verse 3 here, and it says, "For by the grace given to me, I say to everyone among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought, but to think with sober judgment, each according to the measure of faith that God has assigned." And that idea of sober judgment really got me at the end. She goes into this deeply, so I really encourage you to get this book because I am not doing it justice with all of the insights that she shares. But just in my own thoughts, my own reaction to the challenges that she goes into in regards to Romans 12:3. This is what I wrote for myself. Don't think someone else's uncontrolled thoughts, mind, or words or speech. That's a big one for me, is other people's uncontrolled speech. Allow yours to become uncontrolled. That is big for me. Words are my love language. They are my way of communicating and connecting with other people. And so when other people use words to hurt, or just in an uncontrolled, uncaring, unthinking way, just say things that are hurtful to other people, or to me, it's really hard for me. And I know the whole sticks and stones, may break my bones, but words will never hurt you. Am I getting that right? I don't know if anybody says that anymore, but that was like a saying for my Gen X friends. Um, that is so not true. I've never ever believed that. I understand that words won't hurt me physically, but they definitely hurt me mentally. I don't know if you agree. You comment in the comments below, and let me know I'm not alone in this. But people's uncontrolled thoughts. I know when I get upset, there are absolutely times where I speak out of control. I'm not thinking through what I'm saying or the impact of my words. But my goal is to always maintain that control, right? Keep my thoughts and the words that come out of my mouth obedient to Christ, as it tells us to do in the Bible, obedient to his truth, not speaking lies, using our words to build others up, and to not tear them down. And so I just thought it was really interesting how she goes into this idea of having a sober mind. And I want to keep a sober mind even when other people's uncontrolled thoughts or uncontrolled speech, or drunken speech comes my way. I don't want to react with uncontrolled thoughts, and uncontrolled reaction. So I wrote, keep a sober mind. This will guard your own spirit and theirs against unnecessary wounds of an uncontrolled tongue. And so what I'm really taking from today is just this thought of my tongue, my words being controlled and being obedient to Christ, regardless of if the words or the tongue that are coming at me aren't. So I would love to hear what you thought of this day 36 in Upon Waking.